Nothing feels boring at the start, it becomes boring too fast. And the worst part, you actually wanted to enjoy it, but somehow your brain already moved on without you. And now you're just sitting there, wondering why nothing ever feels enough. If you're someone who gets bored quickly, this probably feels painfully familiar. It's not that you don't try, because you actually start a lot of things, but staying engaged feels like holding on to something that keeps slipping away. So you move on, hoping the next thing will feel different somehow, and for a moment it does, until it suddenly doesn't anymore. Then the same cycle repeats, quietly draining your sense of excitement. You might notice this happens even with things you genuinely enjoy sometimes. A movie you were excited about suddenly feels slow halfway through watching. A conversation that started interesting slowly becomes harder to stay present in. Even hobbies you once loved start feeling empty without any clear explanation. People might think you're just distracted or not trying hard enough, but what they don't see is how quickly your focus actually drops. It's not a choice, it just happens before you can even notice, and that's where it starts feeling frustrating instead of just random boredom. Because deep down, you actually want to stay engaged and interested, but your attention seems to move on without asking you first. This shows up in social situations more than people usually realize. You're talking to someone, listening, but part of you starts drifting away. You catch yourself thinking about something completely unrelated mid-conversation, and suddenly you're trying to snap back before they notice anything. It makes you feel slightly disconnected, even when you're physically present. Like you're there, but not fully there at the same time. And over time, that creates a quiet sense of distance from people. Not because you don't care, but because your mind doesn't stay still. It keeps searching for something else, something more stimulating or engaging, even when nothing is actually wrong in that moment. So what's actually happening here isn't just simple boredom. Your brain is constantly looking for stronger or newer stimulation. It quickly adapts to whatever you're doing, making it feel less interesting. So even things that once felt exciting stop giving the same feeling. This doesn't mean those things changed, your brain's response did. It's like your mind keeps raising the bar without telling you, and now normal levels of interest don't feel strong enough anymore. So you keep switching, hoping to find something that finally holds, but nothing stays interesting long enough to feel satisfying, and that's where the cycle quietly builds itself. This also connects to how you process effort and mental energy. Some activities require patience, and your brain doesn't enjoy that phase. So it pushes you toward quicker rewards instead of slower engagement. That's why starting feels easy, but continuing feels unexpectedly difficult. Your brain isn't avoiding work, it's avoiding low stimulation states. And staying focused often means sitting inside those slower moments, which can feel uncomfortable without you fully understanding why. So you leave before things have time to actually become interesting, not realizing that interest often builds after the boring part. But your brain rarely waits long enough to reach that point. You might even notice this pattern when you're completely alone. You switch between activities without finishing anything fully, scrolling, pausing, opening something else, then switching again without thinking. It feels like you're searching, but not finding anything satisfying, and eventually, everything starts to feel equally uninteresting. That's when boredom turns into something deeper than just being idle. It becomes a quiet sense of restlessness you can't really explain. Like your mind wants something, but doesn't know what exactly. So it keeps moving without actually landing anywhere meaningful, and that creates a constant feeling of unfinished experiences. What makes this more confusing is how invisible it looks to others. From the outside, it just seems like you lose interest quickly, but internally, it feels like your focus just slips away on its own. You didn't decide to stop caring, it just stopped feeling engaging. And that difference matters more than people usually understand, because it changes how you see yourself over time. You might start thinking you lack discipline or consistency, when in reality, your brain just processes stimulation differently. It's not about effort, it's about how quickly interest fades, and how your mind responds to that fading. Once you start noticing this pattern, it becomes easier to recognize, not as a flaw, but as a specific way your mind operates. You see the moment where interest begins to drop, and how quickly your attention tries to move somewhere else. That awareness alone changes how you experience those moments. Because now you're not just reacting, you're observing it happen, and that creates a small space between you and the pattern. A space where things don't feel as automatic anymore, where you can actually notice the shift instead of being controlled by it. So think about it, is this really boredom, or something deeper going on?